Colleen's in Texas. The job's in San Francisco. I actually looked for the job posting, and it was taken down at this point. So I'm going to assume, especially with the backdrop of, all this return to office type activity we see across the country, that maybe this job wasn't remote. So that could have been a quick knockout from a candidate perspective. Or even if it was offered remote, they may still have a bias for somebody who is local to San Francisco. So those are some of the, first things that jump to mind that, again, it may not be remote. So Colleen, you're barking up the wrong tree right out of the gate. You're getting, they're not even looking at your resume. They looked at your address and knocked you out of consideration. The other thing too, that occurred to me is, as a recruiter or a hiring manager or such, your style that you're putting out there, and again, I love Colleen for being unapologetically herself. That style of hers may be a mismatch with both the organization and or the hiring manager, such that, hey, you know what? Our styles are not going to complement one another, and therefore you got knocked out of the process just from that standpoint. Now, do I think that's short-sighted? 100%. I think hiring managers should look for people that are different from themselves. Not everybody kind of operates that way. So Colleen might have been, knocked out of consideration from, again, being a remote employee or being, having a style mismatch. The other thing I looked at was, and I did look at Colleen's profile, and it's riddled with things that kind of give a nod to how old she is. And let's be real, you've heard me talk about this, and I'll link it here. About ageism and age bias in the hiring process. I've encountered it as someone in their 50s. And I know Colleen is we're probably around the same age. So that could have been maybe a conscious or an unconscious way to knock her out, that, hey, we don't want to invest in somebody who's going to retire in 5 years or whatever it is, right? So that does exist. And maybe, sanitizing your profile, your resume of some dates that are age giveaways, could be the way to go to get at least get in front of somebody, right? And maybe get past some of that bias. I'm not saying that people should be knocked out of consideration, because of their age. I mean, obviously I would say that, that shouldn't be a consideration.